Hello everybody. So it's time for another video. This is one of my absolute favorite topics, and it's been on my mind lately the last few days, as many of you have probably noticed from my posts talking about empowered women. I kind of get into themes where I really want to focus on and just talk a lot about it. And right now it's really about this whole empowerment thing. And what is there to say? What is there to say about empowerment? It is incredibly toxic. It really is, because on the surface, Krista, hey, on the surface, it seems like a good thing, right? Like, oh, empowered women. That's amazing. Like, yeah, women empowerment. Go women. That's awesome. And in a similar kind of way, it's the same with men, like the men's movement that is all about, like, yeah, go men, like, get really in touch with your feelings, be like really soft and like totally open up. And like, there's good things about both of that, right? For men and for women. For men, like, yeah, good, it's good that you're able to get in touch with your feelings. And for women, great, it's good that you are learning to, set boundaries and realize what you're capable of, being able to be successful and provide and all those things. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff on the surface. And if that's what women want to do with their life, go for it. But here's the thing: there are consequences. There are really big consequences, just like the consequence for men who really go down that path of getting really soft and feminine and in touch with their feelings and don't work on their masculine. The consequence is what? Women aren't attracted to that, right? Like, maybe some really masculine women are somewhat attracted to that, but most women aren't, because that's not what they need. That's not what makes them feel good as a woman. That doesn't feel natural, doesn't feel safe to be with a man like that. And even if there is that initial attraction at first, you get into a relationship with that kind of guy, and it's like, oh my God, this is brutal right down the road. And it's the same with women, where what kind of men are they going to be attracting when they're really, like, strong and empowered and like, I can set strong boundaries and I can do anything myself? They're going to attract feminine men. They're going to attract the kind of men that have not developed that part of themselves that they're now attracted to in a woman. And again, that's going to create relationship problems down the road in that dynamic, because it's not natural, right? So, like, I am all for people doing whatever the hell they want to do with their lives, right? It's like, no judgment in that way. I'm not judgmental about it. If that's what you really want to do, that's really the person you want to become, go for it. If you want to have that kind of relationship dynamic, go for it. But you're going to encounter a lot of problems, especially down the road. And that's if you can even find a man to begin with, right? Because what happens with a lot of women who go down this empowerment road is they find, like, what is the most common complaint? Like, I just can't find a man, right? Or like, all the men that I keep finding are really, like, feminine and don't know how to lead and whatever. Why is that? Because those are the kind of men that you're attracting. Because the men that do know how to lead, it's not like they're not out there. Those men exist. There's actually plenty of them, and I know plenty of them. It's just they're not dating those women, right? And the men that have that potential to lead, right? Because there's lots of men that have that potential to lead and become incredible leaders. They're not inspired by those women to step up and lead. And so there is this idea out there that I have heard over and over again, right, by a lot of women that are caught up in this empowerment movement. And it goes like this. It's like, oh yeah, like, normal men, you know, just like your average man, they might not be into like a really empowered woman, but like the really masculine men, you know, they like the divine masculine man or whatever you want to call it, they'll be really attracted to me. And that's not true, right? It is true. What is true is that masculine men can definitely polarize a woman into her feminine. That's 100% true, right? A really masculine man can polarize like any woman into her feminine. And I would also say the opposite, that a really feminine, radiant woman could polarize pretty much any man into his masculine. Even like the really weak, like ones that cry all day and you know, can't lead themselves out of a paper bag, with a really radiant, feminine, graceful woman, they will feel activated, right? If they're in touch with their masculinity at all, they will feel activated and be like, oh, like, oh, I've never felt this before, right? And it's the same with women. And so these really empowered women, what happens is they start craving those really masculine men that can polarize them into their feminine, right? And and you know, they will date those men. Like some of those men will date them and be interested in them and all that, and that's great. But the thing is, now what's happening, they are relying on those men to polarize them because they're not able to access their feminine essence on their own, right? Just like a man is like a weak man who can't lead, can't access his like masculinity and his leadership on his own. He needs that woman to polarize him into it. And it's the same with women. And so now they're really reliant on that man. And that's going to cause a lot of problems. And one of them is, you know, it's like an addiction, right? Because it feels so good to be in that place, and then you want that man so badly, and then what does that do? That pushes them away. And the other problem is that men like that, like the really masculine men, especially the devoted masculine men, so heart open masculine men, they are the ones that really want a radiant feminine woman, one that can be really vulnerable and soft and express all her feelings and be able to be radiant on her own, because that's what makes him feel the most activated, the most polarized, the most like feeling alive. And so the whole idea of these empowered women saying, yeah, like I'll just be like really empowered, and then like the really masculine men will find me and claim me. It's like, why would they? What exactly are you offering compared to a woman that can already access her radiance fully on her own without a man? It's like a man's just gonna find one of those women. Like that's certainly what I would do. Why wouldn't he just find a woman who is already fully in her radiance, who is operating through her feminine instead of operating through her masculine, until a really strong man polarizes her into her feminine? We got a few comments here. Just women can do their whole life from the radiance with their masculine in service to their feminine. It's very fulfilling. This something in, I don't know, is that Spanish? I'm not sure what. Oh, Italian. I'm not sure what that says. And hello. So Mara, Sharon, Maria, Brenda, hey, Krista, hey everybody. Yeah, so thank you all for tuning in so far. Yeah, and this is one of my favorite topics. It's one of my favorite topics because it's so misunderstood. And you know, and just so everyone knows, everyone that's watching right now, this is what I'm going to be talking about for at least an hour in my subscription group, my premium subscription group on Sunday, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I really recommend joining the group just for this. Like, you'll get your money's worth just from this video. It'll be so enlightening. But I want to give at least something to everybody else, right? Because I really like talking about this no matter what, even if it's for free. It's just, it's so important for women to understand this. And here's the other problem with this whole empowerment thing, is that women are supporting each other with their empowerment, right? Like, oh, like you're so empowered, like, oh, you're so powerful, like you go girl, all that kind of stuff, right? And so so women are getting that positive feedback and then thinking like, yeah, like I'm on the right track, like I'm growing, yeah, like this is awesome. But you know, masculine men aren't going to give that feedback because that's not what they're attracted to. And that's why what I always really focus on is when women are able to be vulnerable on my wall and like take full responsibility for their feelings, like that's what I focus on, because that is the gateway to becoming radiant, right? Is learning to fully own your feelings and express your feelings and show your heart, whatever is in your heart, whether it's a good emotion, like a happy emotion, it's a sad emotion, whatever it is, just owning it and like, this is what I'm feeling, right? And that's, I teach vulnerability. It is the gateway to becoming the radiant feminine woman that is inside every single woman. Every single woman, right? It's not something that you like become, it's something that you already are. And you just have crap over top of it that is preventing you from being that way, right? Like trauma, wounds, all this stuff. So it's about getting into them and releasing them and then becoming, or not becoming, but like accessing that woman. Because inside of every woman is like her beautiful heart, and I'm not even just talking about the positive, like happy stuff, like the, you know, having a huge smile on your face and just glowing. I'm also talking about all the sad stuff, and insecurities and all that, because when a woman owns that, when she owns that, rather than like just, you know, expressing that through toxic behaviors, that's actually a really beautiful thing. And devoted men love that, right? It's like, I love when my wife expresses that she feels sad or feels like, it doesn't matter what the feeling is, right? It doesn't matter what the feeling is. As long as it's what she's feeling and it's honest, then it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And any devoted masculine man would say the exact same thing. It's just that because women are so programmed into the empowerment thing, now it's really hard to be vulnerable, because it's completely opposite. It's like you can't be empowered and vulnerable. You can either be strong and powerful and all that stuff, or you can be radiant and vulnerable and feminine. It's like you've got to choose which one you're going to do. I got a few questions. Facebook user says, hi, Zach. Why do you think some women claim being empowered is necessary to be with a masculine man? I hear things like a really high masculine man needs a woman with her masculine in order to build kingdoms, blah, blah. Yeah. But personally, I gain so much pleasure from being more soft and radiant. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I got two answers for that. One, because those women are just delusional. Like they've been taught that from masculinized coaches, and now they've bought into the whole system, and they don't realize that their belief system is based on lies. But there is a important truth in there too, and that's what I wanted to talk about in this video, and it's important. It's that men are not attracted to feminine women who have not integrated their masculine, right? And so that would be the typical doormat woman, who's like just opens herself up to abuse, lets men get away with anything, has, you know, tends to have low self-esteem, low self-worth, just, yeah, weak boundaries, and usually also won't be expressing her feelings. She'll usually like just keep silent because she believes like her feelings aren't worth anything. So she'll just stay silent and just, you know, get plowed over by a guy that does whatever he wants. And yeah, men are not attracted to that. And I've dated many women that are like that. And so they think that the solution is, okay, that's obviously not attracted to men and I get taken advantage of. So I'm going to become really strong and powerful and empowered, and find like a man who likes that. And the developing that masculine is great, because you do need to develop your masculine as a woman, but they're developing it the completely wrong way. If they're interested in operating through their feminine, if they're interested in attracting men, devoted masculine men. And so that's really what I teach, is how to whether you are a really feminine woman that doesn't have strong boundaries, or you are a very masculinized woman that does not have good access to her feminine, what I teach helps women, either type of woman, right? Because, you know, the gateway is being vulnerable. That is the key. And you know, there's a lot of nuances to that, a lot of nuances. And like the whole feminine communication thing is a huge subject that is very misunderstood and very mistaught. And that's, you know, I teach that, and I teach that somewhat in my my free group, but really hammer it in my subscription group. That's what we really focus on. So I teach the integration of the masculine. So, and that does not mean you ever have to operate through your masculine, unless you're like actually physically defending yourself or something like that. You know, you can remain in your feminine the whole time as you develop and integrate your masculine. That's the natural process for a feminine woman. Just like the natural process for a masculine man isn't to like become a blubbering baby for years and crying all the time and stuff, right? Like if he wants to do that to develop his feminine, he can, but it's not necessary, and that's not the natural way of developing as a man. You develop your feminine by becoming devoted to a woman and having your heart open in that way and giving your love that way. And so, yeah, like I teach a very different path than what most people think is what they have to do. What else? We have 16 minutes. Okay, I'm going to cut this off at 20 minutes at max. So we got a few more minutes. Facebook user says, I just realized that my Facebook says empowered in my about. It doesn't say empowered women because I don't align with that movement. I'm empowered because I seek the truth, but that has nothing to do with my gender. It has to do with being aware and feeling empowered to walk through this world with confidence because I'm not confused about how we are being lied to, manipulated, and controlled. Yeah, and right, and like I should say too that a lot of this is semantics, right? Like I don't know. I'm not saying that there aren't really radiant feminine women out there that are, you know, like maybe they'll use the word empowered. I don't know. Like, right, everyone has their own definition of words, but what I tend to see very commonly is that when that word is used, women are identifying with that empowerment, and I usually see a lot of masculine, like operating through their masculine, or at least hiding and kind of downplaying a lot of their feminine, the stuff that, you know, masculine men just love and can't get enough of. And so, you know, that's a big part of my purpose in life and online and in my business, is showing women like your feminine side and your vulnerability and your heart is the most amazing part about you, right? And whatever is in your heart, whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, it's the most beautiful part about you, as long as you're owning it, right? As long as you're owning that feeling and being truly vulnerable and raw. Like that is just, what a gift to men, and what a gift to the world, and what a gift to yourself as well. And so a lot of the empowerment movement is about not being vulnerable. Like I've seen that talked about, like, you know, the whole like swampy woman thing that a lot of women talk about, like emotions are just being stuck in the swamp. And if you want to, like, if I'm going to talk about the whole swamp thing, like when you're stuck in the swamp, it's when you're not taking responsibility for your feelings, right? Just like, and that is very unattractive. That's when you haven't integrated your masculine, you have a weak masculine, you don't even know what responsibility for your feelings are. Whereas being vulnerable as a woman, like as I define it, that's taking full responsibility for your feelings. So there is no swamp there. It's just sexy as you can possibly be, like that. No matter what feeling it is, it's just like that's real and that's you. It's like that's beautiful. Okay, what if being vulnerable turns them off as being needy? Then either it's not actually vulnerable, there might be needy energy, or the man just has a lot of like issues going on himself, and you're not going to be able to have a healthy relationship with a man like that, because he's you know, he can't devote you if you're not able to communicate through your feminine. Oh, this is a good one. Before I cut it off, you come across like suck a pretentious douchebag, you should work on your delivery. Bye for now. Oh, that's one of my, I appreciate that, because in one of my earlier posts I did say, you know, if you want to be blocked, at least go big on it, right? Like, give me something to work with, something fun. So thank you, Jack. That is I'm gonna block you afterwards if you don't block me, but that was that's what I want. If you want to be abusive, go. I like it like that. Make me laugh. True vulnerability is beautiful. Yes, the most empowerment movement is fuck your feelings mentality, hustle, grind, distraction work. Yes, 100%. Thank you guys. I went over my 20-minute limit again. I really encourage anyone who's viewing to subscribe to my premium feminine group, and or if you're a man, my masculinity group. You get so much value. And it's only 3 more days before I raise the price up to 99 instead of 66 bucks. So you can't, and you get locked into that lower price. So it's an amazing deal. And that's what we're going to be talking about on Sunday. We're going to be talking about this for over an hour. It's going to be an amazing live stream. So thank you all for tuning in. I hope you got a lot out of this video, and I will be doing one again soon. Not sure what the topic is, but I'm sure it'll be good.